Jane the Virgin herself, Gina Rodriguez, returns to network television with the new ABC sitcom Not Dead Yet. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It, and welcome to my TV review for the new ABC series Not Dead Yet. This is part of their Wednesday night comedy block. You've got the Connors on there already, which plug for my channel. I do the Connors reviews every single week that there's a new episode. We really dive in deep on that show, but part of that comedy block as well includes the Goldbergs and the very popular Abbott Elementary. And it is, I guess, at this point, the only night of comedy on ABC is that Wednesday night block. So Not Dead Yet is the new addition to that. Before we launch into this show and my review of it, I want to welcome you to Dan Reviews It. Another little plug for my channel. Please consider subscribing down below there. Would love to have you aboard. We do lots of TV and movie reviews on the channel, and I try to post almost every day, at least 5-6 times a week, if nothing else. And tackling these shows, we used to sort of lump them all in to a weekly review thing, but I found it a little bit easier to sort of just break it up, to give me more time to kind of launch into my real thoughts, on these shows more than just a few minutes. So anyway, this one is Not Dead Yet. The premise here basically is this gal, Nell, played by Gina Rodriguez, is a newspaper reporter. She left her job to move to the UK with her boyfriend at the time, but now she, is back in the US. Her relationship is kaput, and she tries to resume her career at the newspaper, but she is assigned by her boss to write obituaries. The boss, played by Lauren Ash from Superstore. And she realizes pretty early on here that this is more than just an assignment. The ghosts, the people that she is writing obituaries about, come to her, and she sees them and can communicate with them. And it's so far, it seems like each episode is going to be like a different ghost, a different person that she's writing about. We see Martin Mull in the first episode, and she actually becomes friends with his widow as well. That's sort of going to be a running thread, I guess. And then you also have Hannah Simone here, who played on The New Girl. She plays Nell's friend Sam, that also works at the paper. So, all right. Well, look, there's some talented people here in the cast. I enjoyed Jane the Virgin. I never finished it, but I watched, I think, 2 seasons worth of that. And I like Gina Rodriguez a lot. She can be funny. They're giving her maybe too much physical comedy here. There's a lot of like pratfalls and stuff like that, which can work. I'm not sure if it always does, but, it's okay here. Hannah Simone, I think, is the least talented person from The New Girl. Her character there was not very funny, and her character here is not very funny. And I'm not sure if that's her specifically, or maybe just her characters are not being written to properly. And then you have Lauren Ash, who I thought was very funny on Superstore, and she's kind of a meanie here. She's just sort of a very sort of mean and idiot boss, and it's hard to sort of balance both of those things well, because you think about some of the great bosses of all time. You've got Michael Scott from The Office, who was incompetent, but he had a good heart, and we saw that over and over again. Maybe not in the first couple episodes, of course, that's all I have to go on for this show so far. But, and then you have, like Lou Grant on Mary Tyler Moore, who was, a curmudgeon. He was kind of a jerk, but he was really good at his job, and he knew what he was doing. So, this is sort of, they're having her do both, and it, to me, did not come across as funny necessarily. There was one scene in, I think it might have been the second episode, that I thought was kind of funny with her. She has like this arbitrary points system, of how many strikes you can get before you're fired. This person has 9, this person has 2, and you can gain strikes back and stuff. That was sort of humorous. So if they sort of lean into that a little bit. Her character, Dina, in Superstore, was, I think, a little bit hard to warm up to at first, too, because she was sort of on the harder edged side, sort of tough nut to crack. but good at her job again. So you've got that here. I'm not sure yet if she's good at her job, but she's definitely got the sort of rude thing down, and they have a history. These characters all sort of have a history, and so that sort of is part of the backstory as well that I guess we're going to get to know. One of the main things I think is possibly a flaw about this show is we already have a show where people are talking to ghosts, and it is one of the best shows on network television. It's called Ghosts. Now, in that particular show, they have, a set number of ghosts, and we see them and get to know them over the course of the weeks. Here, like I said, it's going to be a different one every week, it seems like, for the most part. And once they figure out their, why they're sticking around or whatever, they can, go up to heaven or whatever it is. So the rules are a little murky so far. So forgive me if I'm not completely, getting that on task. There's been 4 episodes up. I've only watched the first 2. But so far it seems like that's kind of, what's going on here. But look, I think this show has potential. And I say this all the time when I review comedies, because it is tough to really bring us into the world of these characters in the first 21 minutes. It's all we really get now for episodes, sometimes less. So the pilot, 21 minutes or so, we got the basic premise. Were there a ton of laughs? Not so sure. Second episode, I actually think picked up a little bit. Maybe now that we're getting to know the characters a little bit more, okay, we can sort of lean into some of their idiosyncrasies and see the chemistry of everybody. So it's definitely hard to grade a sitcom from the first episode or 2. There's some that have A+ pilot episodes. 30 Rock is one. Arrested Development was one. The Cosby Show, if we're going to go back to that, is one. But a lot of them lately, it's a tough one. And that's why, and these networks know this, like Ghosts, when they premiered that, they put 2 episodes on the same night. Same with Night Court, same with Not Dead Yet. So the networks, I think, are getting hip to that, like, okay, we need at least 2 episodes to reel people in. And I think that's going to be the case with Not Dead Yet. So, like I say a lot of times with the sitcoms, I'm going to grade these first 2 episodes, but that could fluctuate greatly. Like Ted Lasso is a great example of that. When I first reviewed that show, I think I watched the first 2 when I was doing the weekly reviews, and I gave that a B+, and then it turns out that's like an A+ show. It's one of the best shows probably that's ever been on the air. Abbott Elementary, same thing. I think I gave that a B+ too, and that's like more of an A show at this point in time too. So I'm not going to go quite as high on this show, but there's potential there. And sometimes it kind of stays where it is. That 90s show I gave a C+ to, I think. And I did end up watching that whole show. And I think that's about where it stays, for me. Not Dead Yet, I'm going to leave this for now with a C+. But I think there's potential to grow here. I think by the end of the season, we may get more in that B range, depending on how they play the character. So, all right, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Dan Reviews It. Bye.